Dr. Austell, thank you very much for joining us today. So, would you mind just start with a little self-introduction?
Of course, yeah. My name is David Austell. I'm the Associate Provost and Director of the International Students and Scholars Office at Columbia University.
I know for many students, it's their first time studying in a foreign country, so they're not aware of what an international office can do for them. Do you mind just do an introduction of like what type of help that your office can offer?
Of course. I guess to get started with that question, the first thing I would need to say is I'm so happy that I'm able to work with CUCSA regarding this special video for incoming students. And this is a very special welcome also to the new students who are getting ready to come to the United States. They are most welcomed here, and we're so excited about the new students who are coming in. The International Students and Scholars Office is one of the main resources for Chinese students coming to the university. The office deals in many ways primarily with immigration issues. That means we're the go-between. We're in the middle between the international students and the Department of Homeland Security. And that means that we protect the interest of our students and make sure that immigration and legal issues are carefully met and that we support our students with information and assistance with processing. Now, we're not only a technical office because the staff members in the ISSOU have had extensive overseas experience and educational experience, which is so much like the experience of our Chinese students, except we're a bit older.
It's really warm to hear, like, when we are living in a foreign country and there's someone taking care of us and know we have a safe spot to go to. And just wondering, like, for students who do need help from your office, like, what are the methods that they can get in touch with you?
Contact with staff at ISSOU is very extensive. We like to think that we're the very best in communicating with our students, and ability for the students to communicate with us in the entire Ivy League. Just as a few examples of that, I am personally on duty 24/7. That means 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all during the year. And I sleep with my iPhone. So if any student needs to get in touch with me, they can do it any time of the day or night. In addition, we have systems that are emergency systems that involve not only our public safety office, but ISSOU in assisting students who might have immediate need for assistance. And that could be visa issues or entry into the United States, and ISSOU is immediately involved with those students. I want to give you a few other examples. We have increased our office hours this year when students can come to ISSOU for personal assistance. We have increased our outreach with emails, so students can email us. And because we get so many emails that are coming in, we quickly prioritize emails all during the day. We have people watching the emails. And if there are emergency issues, we handle those the same day to get in touch with the student to make sure the student is okay. If there are other issues that are immigration related, we try to respond as soon as we can to get back in touch and to assist the students. As far as any question or issue related to visas, related to immigration status, the most important advice I can give is come to the ISSOU, because we have deep expertise with these technical fields, and also we are welcoming to the students. I talk to my staff about this issue a lot, and what I say is always lead with your head to understand what the student needs, but always follow with your heart. And that is a special saying that we have to all of our international students as to how we want to work with them.
Many students are just curious about the very diverse communities that are going to join here at Columbia. So I'm just wondering, do you mind share with us some data of like what's the student body like?
Columbia University is the third largest international community in the United States. We have almost 16,000 international students that we are assisting. About 4,000 of those students are currently in optional practical training, which is work authorization, usually after the program has ended. So this, as you can see, is a very welcoming community. The Chinese community is very large. You know, there are about 6,000 Chinese students who are here full-time enrolled, and about 2,000 more who also are in optional practical training. And this is a very happy situation for Columbia because we strongly welcome the students who are here, and we have a very large support structure for the students when they arrive, but also during the entire time they're here. Now, I know it's a bit frightening and also wonderful at the same time for new students who are coming to the United States. But remember, the Chinese community, ISSOU, for example, is so welcoming in assisting new Chinese students to get settled. And also ISSOU, the academic departments, Division of Student Affairs. These are many offices, student health services. They're excellent in support of students here.
That's actually leading into my next question. So, well, I know like universities in different countries, they have a very different like office structures. So like when they first came to the US, they may not know what are the like offices that they can go to help for.
Yes.
So for the offices that you mentioned, do you mind just give a brief introduction of like what's their jurisdiction or what's the type
Yes.
of things that students can go to them?
That's a very good question, and probably the first thing that I'd need to say about that is that the school that the student has been admitted to and the academic department that the student is involved with, this is the very first place that a student would need to go for academic assistance. And if there are other issues, usually the academic department would be the first place that the student would go. Now, having said that, it's important to remember that if a student catches the flu during the time that he or she is here, the very first place to go would be our student health service. Student health service is very extensive, and we have a very large number of doctors here who can immediately assist the student if there are medical needs. So those are two very important initial resources. Now, offices like the ISSOU are also very important because our background is not just in immigration expertise, visa expertise. No, we have strong cultural expertise, and that expertise is in different areas of the world. I have been in China many times myself, so we also have other China experts who are here, and experts in students from the Middle East, from the Pacific Rim, from Europe, etc., that helps us understand students well because our own background is very similar to theirs. Now, other offices at the university are also critically important. And that, for example, is our Division of Student Affairs and Student Life, which operates to assist students all over the university to provide programming, to provide a voice for Columbia University related to the students' well-being.
With your expertise of like the international cultures, what are your suggestions for them to like just prepare themselves before they came here?
Yes. Chinese students are very well prepared to come to the United States. That has been my own experience and the experience of the university. That means their languaging skills, their academic skills, and also cultural skills are very good. Now, I think in best preparing for coming to the United States, one obvious thing is go ahead and begin practicing English so that when the student arrives, the student is ready to operate in an academic setting that is English-based. So that is one area I think that is important. The student also coming in should be aware that there is going to be culture shock. Okay, and you know what culture shock is, and so do I. This has to do with a student coming into the United States and being very happy to be there and excited about being admitted to an institution of the Ivy League, Columbia University in the city of New York. Now, also, along with that happiness goes a certain amount of cultural acceptance and adjustment, because New York is very big and is a city of the world as much as a city of the United States. And Chinese students need to be aware that there are many resources to help Chinese students adjust to life at the university, which is helpful. And the students need to know that it's not just them, one person experiencing this, it's everyone who is coming in to the university who is feeling lonely a bit. They miss their families and they miss their loved ones at home. They miss the familiarity of home, which is very different often from New York City or from the university. So I think preparing for that is important also.
Yeah, I can certainly recall like when I first came here, like of the missing the home element.
Oh, yes.
Well, the restaurant around campus definitely helped.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And also remembering to use the resources available to the students. CUCSA is one, ISSOU, the academic departments, the student help services, etc., are there immediately to assist.
Building on that, so what are the things like they can do to better adapt into the new community after they're here?
Well, one thing that immediately comes to mind is for new students to be sure and interact with students of other countries. Now, that's not only students from the United States, but it's students from many other countries of the world, because remember, the symbol of Columbia University is alma mater. The words are Latin, and they have a very special meaning. Alma mater means nurturing mother. And we have a statue on campus that is alma mater. And new students will notice immediately that she has her arms out like this. And that is the welcoming, nurturing mother. And what I think is most important about that is the opportunity for students, particularly young students, to be able to interact with other students from other countries so that they understand more and more of the world and not just of China or the United States.
Yeah, I can recall like every year in the commencement I see like CPA waving their national flags, so that's a very touching thing.
Oh yeah, it's very inspiring.
Knowing like people around the world are just working together here on campus.
Yes, yeah. If that doesn't happen at the university, it probably will not happen at any time of the student's life, because it's so easy in the university setting to be with other students from countries of the world. So we highly recommend this as one way of adjustment to life. Another thing is to work with academic advisors and ask questions. Now, in Chinese culture and Chinese pedagogy, way of teaching, often students will not necessarily ask questions of the professors. But in the United States, that's very different, and professors expect to be asked questions about the academic material being studied. So my advice to the students is don't be shy, and professors will welcome an opportunity to speak more about the academic program.
For students coming in, like spending a year or more studying in the U.S., meaning they need to like get in touch with many legal offices or state or even federal offices. I'm just wondering, like, could you like just run a list of probably some of those offices and what's the student's legal responsibility?
Yes, I think the primary office for Chinese students or international students in general in that regard is the ISSOU, because our duty is to make sure that Chinese students, all of our student community here, are aware of the law and understand how to comply with the law. So that's a big part of what we do, is to make sure students understand that. For the most part, there will not be government interaction with Chinese students, except in a very few cases. For example, when the student applies for a visa, the student is interacting with the United States Department of State through the embassies. And when the student crosses the border of the United States, that is United States Customs and Border Protection. So hopefully those interactions will be easy and not delayed too much as the student enters the United States. But then the student also immediately communicates with ISSOU so that we can make sure everything is okay with the student's entry and to assist them further as needed.
Speaking of visas, I know like there are a few students mentioned to us like their visa is under administrative review or is or maybe denied. So I guess it's just they're just curious about like in those cases they do feel like not knowing what to do. So do you have any suggestions for them like, to solve those problems?
Yes. In fact, the first thing I would say is that Columbia University admits large numbers of Chinese students every fall. We will issue a total of 3,000, no, really more like 5,000 new I-20 forms for new students. A large number of those are for Chinese. Now, we monitor very carefully the student while they're abroad, and especially during the visa process. And we will typically have a very small number that are in administrative processing. We had 10 last year, all of whom got their visas. We had 11 the year before, all of whom received their visas. Now, the denial rate for visas is very, very small. Now, you're mentioning administrative processing. Yes, there are some delays, but again, we are monitoring those delays and making sure that the student is assisted in acquiring that visa, even if there are some delays in the process.
It's very comforting for the student to know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just stressful when you're like sitting in the dark, not knowing what other offices are doing with your documents.
Yes, I understand. And we try to communicate with those students in an effort to offer comfort and to build confidence that things are going to work out and that Columbia is right there to assist.
Also, there are many students just curious about their career after graduation. So just wondering, based on your knowledge, how many students or international students in general chose to spend the beginning of their career in the U.S.?
Yes, as far as the international community in general with students, there are going to be many students, as many as 3,000, for example, every year, who will want to begin their careers in the United States. And for the most part, this process of gaining work authorization to allow this to occur is going very smoothly at Columbia. Now, the number of Chinese students, we have, approximately 2,000 of those students are in practical training, and they're having a very good experience that is related to their academic programs and assist them as they begin to set up their careers wherever that might be. It might be in the United States, it might be in China, it might be in Canada or Europe. It's always interesting to see where Columbia students end up with their career path.
Is there recommendations that you want to give for a student applying for CPT or OPT?
Well, the basic rule of thumb with either of the work authorization is apply as early as possible. And the application processes are highly supported by the ISSOU, and we want to react as quickly as possible for the students.
I guess it's a little bit of a career service question, but do you have tips for students just to be more competitive in the job market?
Well, international students, and especially Chinese students, are very competitive in the American employment scene. And that's because of the training that they get at Columbia, which is very rigorous, as you know, and it strongly prepares the students for the types of work that they will experience. As far as related to how to prepare, I would suggest also that students are very much aware of the career resources that are available in the schools. And most all the schools of Columbia have extensive career services that assist students in finding a possible job that might be out there. So it's very important to use those resources.
Is there any additional information or suggestions you want to give to the Columbia international community?
In summing up, I just want to say how happy the university is and the students who have chosen Columbia. These students have said yes to Columbia, and they have said no to Harvard, to Princeton, to Berkeley, to the University of Southern California, all the schools other than Columbia of the Ivy League, and they said yes to Columbia. And I want especially to thank you for that. We're so excited about you coming. I'd like to say just a quick word to the parents of the students. I have two daughters of my own, and know how important the issue of higher education is. And so I want to congratulate you especially in supporting your student as the student comes to the United States. I promise we will take very good care of your student.